What's up, YouTube? I'm Mike, and today we are back with part 5 of what it's like to be homeless. Today we're finally starting to get a little bit closer to the homelessness part. Despite the fact that currently at this stage of the game I still have a roof over my head. As you'll see in the coming minutes, things are about to change considerably for me. So I had said at the end of the last video that I didn't have any money. I think my dad put like a 20 on me or something. I had a little bit of starter cash, for lack of a better term, when he rented me this little budget suite. In case you're not familiar, a budget suite is just kind of like a little mini, like a one-bedroom apartment that you can rent by the week or month. I'm sure everybody in America knows what a budget suite is. You look it up if you're really curious. It's kind of like a studio. It's not even really a studio. It's got a separate bedroom, a living that's connected to a kitchen, and a little bathroom. And so you've got stove, microwave, refrigerator, TV, telephone. This was, prior to like high-speed internet. This is like, 2001. So totally different environment as far as the internet goes. It was certainly not like, a place you existed like we do today. And so here I am in this budget suite, and I have crashed out, and now I have woken up, and I've been trying to get a hold of Steve. Steve is I don't realize this I don't realize it at the time. It was only later that I grew to understand. But like he had said when he chose to drop me off, he wanted me to get cleaned up. He wanted me to come down, reset, because I was completely losing my mind and was being basically a threat to him and his operation. And I think the guy just was not so much of a scumbag as to sit there and just continuously feed me until I died. And so, he wasn't like, he wasn't like totally ignoring my texts, but he kind of basically just kind of kept fucking me off. And I kept saying, like, dude, like, I really need you to come by and see me, at least, leave me something to keep me going, because I'm about to, like, fully come down, and I hadn't been fully down in a long time. And so, he continued to kind of like be like, yeah, I'll come by, and then just kept not doing it. And I started going through, you don't really go through meth withdrawal, but it's still not comfortable. It's kind of a psychological thing where, like, for me, I just felt like I was just like, I was kind of angry and just irritable. And at the time, I had just been letting my hair grow out. So, like, I wasn't going to get regular haircuts or anything like that. And so my hair was longer than it had ever been in my life. I don't know, like, a person that you could mention, not quite Sam Sulek long, but gaining on it. Like, it was starting to get, maybe like more plates, more dates. It was longer than that, because it was like long all over. And it was just like, my hair was just driving me crazy. Like, suddenly I was very aware of how dirty I was. I was hyper aware of all of these things that for an extended period of time being high, I just didn't care about. That's the thing. Like, when I'm loaded on speed, I don't care about anything. I don't care about girls. I don't care about food. I don't care about sleep. I'm just totally 100% addicted to the drug. That's my entire focus. And it's like, as long as I have the drug in my system, I don't care about anything else in the world, period. I smoked cigarettes at the time, I think. So I think I was still smoking cigarettes. Yeah. So cigarettes was about the only other kind of addictive thing that I had going. And so I had a couple of bucks that my dad had put on me when he booked this little suite. And so I walked down and I got like cigarettes, and there was like a corner store like immediately adjacent to this complex that I was living in. And then there was a sorry, again, I don't know how much that noise in the kitchen. It seems like it's just incredibly loud, but y'all probably can't hear it. So immediately adjacent to this complex was like, I think they called it a Tiger Mart. It was like basically a gas station convenience store. And then you could walk across the highway, and there was like a bunch of fast food restaurants. It was like Taco Bell, Whataburger. There's several there was Wendy's actually in the Tiger Mart. So I've got multiple fast food restaurants around me, and then there was like a grocery store, it was like an Albertsons or something. So I went somewhere in this fit of like coming down state, and I bought I had like a pair of scissors, I guess, on me. I don't know where they came from, but I remember getting a Bic razor. And I just was like in the apartment or in the suite one night, like losing my mind. He kept like, not showing up and giving me like the runaround, and I was really fucking in the throes of the come down and not wanting to be sane and sober again. And I remember sitting on the couch and just being like, I can't take it. And I went in the bathroom and I just started whacking at my hair. And I just whacked my hair all to shit. It was all fucked up. And then I just like went crazy. I just got the Bic out and I just bicked my head. I had no facial hair. I look like fucking, what was that movie with that like albino guy in it? Powder or something, I forget what it's called. Like I just had this totally white chrome dome, completely bicked down head, no facial hair, skin and bone. I mean, I look like a skeleton. That's what I did. I basically turned myself into a living, breathing, walking, hairless fucking skeleton. And so I'm sure I went back to sleep. I don't know. And so as the one day turns into the next, I'm basically realizing Steve is not showing up anytime soon. And so obviously now my fucking appetite is coming back in a major way. So I bought, I don't remember exactly what I bought. It's totally irrelevant. But at some point, the pivotal point is that I ran out of money. And so I'm in this budget suite and I've run out of money and I'm going down to this Tiger Mart. And so I realized I was supposed to be getting a job or something, like I had gone to like the Albertsons and I didn't even bother to go inside and ask for a job. I didn't want to, I don't know what I was really going through at the time. I ran into these kids on the street that were selling magazine subscriptions. You remember those, like that shit that was going around for a while? It'd be like a group of homeless kids. And they would sell magazine subscriptions, and they ran into me outside of sitting outside the, I was like sitting outside of Albertsons, like basically not panhandling, but just like looking homeless, hoping somebody would put money on me because I didn't have the nerve to ask anyone for money. And this kid started talking to me and like trying to get me to like go with them and sell magazines. And I'm just like super asocial. It seemed like a fucking cult of weird kids and I can't remember their whole rap, how they were getting around town or whatever. And I was just like, no. I went back to my suite. And so, but, this is becoming dire, So I can't remember the exact order of things. But to the best of my memory, basically I started walking around in parking lots, like in the Tiger Mart parking lot. And I would just walk up to people and I would ask them like, hey man, do you got like 50 cents that I could catch the bus with? For some reason it felt better to ask for money to like ride the bus, or I would ask for money for basically anything but food. And this is actually a really pivotal thing. I don't know if this is true of anybody who's ever been homeless, but for me at least, there was some kind of psychological hang up. And I think that it comes from like, when you're a kid, you're growing up, whatever, you ask, hey dad, will you buy me this? Will you buy me that? Like, it's not totally out of character for a person to try to get money for something that they need, but never food. Like food, your whole life, in like for me at least, and I think most normal life, food is you're never wanting for food. Like you just always have it, I guess. And I was ashamed. Obviously, I was ashamed to be asking people for any kind of help. It's one thing to ask your parents, but to ask total strangers, and I was getting nowhere. I would stand out in front of the Tiger Mart and just hit everybody going in and out the door. Hey, do you have 50 cents, $1 I can make a phone call with, I can catch the bus with, whatever story. And I was just, 100% getting hated on. Nobody would give me a dime. And I will never forget, as long as I live, I got to the point where I was so fucking hungry. And I went down, my apartment, my little suite kind of like faced, it was like on the outer ring of this building, and it faced this Tiger Mart. I could see the the parking lot from my building, and I went downstairs and I started walking up to people, you know, at the gas pump. And I remember the first time I ever said, "Hey, excuse me, like, do you have $1 I can eat on?" And I'm telling you, I don't know why this is, but the first time I heard those words come out of my own mouth, it was like emotionally and spiritually and psychologically wounding. It's like if you've ever done something that you immediately like recoiled from, or I guess it was just shame. I don't know why it felt the way it did, but there was this extremely powerful feeling that just like crippled me the second I said it. And I don't know if it was just that phrase, "Hey, do you have $1 I can eat on?" I think it just brought home, like, this is as low as it gets. Like, you can't get any lower in life than this. You don't have the means to keep yourself alive. If not for the fucking charity of some other person, I was on the verge of dying. Like, I had nothing to eat. And for some reason, it's almost like other human beings instinctually view this statement differently. And I think I must have asked 50 fucking people. There's no quantifying the number of people I had asked for money for whatever, and they just told me no, like 100% of the time. Within the first 2 or 3 people that I asked for $1 to eat on, somebody gave me money. And if I remember correctly, it was this like middle-aged black guy, and he looked at me, and you could see that he kind of like felt for me, and he reached into his pocket and he handed me a $1 bill. And like the elation that I felt when he handed me that money, it was like, finally, I've just been literally, I've been begging and just getting absolutely rejected at every fucking turn. I'm fucking starving to death, and this guy gives me this $1 bill, and I run straight into the Tiger Mart, and I'm looking at the shelves, and the first thing that I see that I can afford is a 6-pack. I don't know why that fucking got me. It was a package of 6 Miss Baird's powdered sugar donuts. Maybe it fucked me up because I got a package of Miss Baird's powdered sugar donuts on my nightstand right now. I fucking love these donuts, dude. I can't tell you how many of these donuts I have eaten in my lifetime. And how many times those donuts have sustained me through the night in a bodybuilding blast when I woke up starving to death in the middle of the night, and I shoveled 6 powdered sugar donuts into my face and went back to sleep. And I'm just now suddenly realizing that in some kind of crazy, bizarro circle, there I was starving to death, you know, like so fucking hungry. And I went in there with this $1 bill this guy gave me, and I bought 6 Miss Baird's powdered sugar donuts, and those are the best donuts I ever tasted in my life. I was fucking hungry, and I was really sad. Like, the psychological toll that experience had already taken. I had lost everything that I cared about. I lost the girl that I loved more than anything in the world. I lost my apartment and my freedom. I'd lost my jobs. I'd lost the respect of all of my family members. They turned their back on me more or less. I mean, my dad was still kind of helping, but it was more out of just like, he, you know, like by his own admission, it was just like he couldn't stomach the thought of his son being on the street. And so it's like, here, I'll put a roof over your head. But basically, I hit rock bottom. You can't get any lower than that. And I went back to my budget suite with my, you know, they probably didn't even survive the walk back. I ate the 6 powdered sugar donuts and got back to my fucking suite. And I don't know, like, you know, obviously I'm editorializing now because I'm remembering what it was. I just remember that it was an absolutely soul-crushing fucking experience, because you grow up and you have this view of the world. You have a view of people that you see, like homeless people. You stand in judgment of people who are drug addicts, or you know, you have this vision of the way the world is supposed to be. You erect this you know, you have these ideals about things, God, you know, the government, whatever. Like, you have this worldview, you know, and it's amazing how quickly it can all fucking come crashing down on your head, and how quickly you can go from, you know, like you can fuck around and find out, basically, really, really quickly. And after the first time, after you ask for help the first time, like that in and of itself is like a breaking moment. I suspect this has probably got to be something akin to what, like, girls who like prostitute themselves or who sell their bodies in some way. Like, it's got to be similar to asking somebody, hey man, could you please give me money to eat on? Like, it is a soul crushing thing to do, and it irrevocably changes you. You're never able to look at yourself the same way again after you do that. And as I imagine, you know, certain behaviors that I'm not going to talk about because I keep getting my channel dinged, it just keeps getting easier and easier every time you do. And so in short order, I've gone from this guy who was going completely out of his way to not have to say the words, hey man, can you give me a dollar I can eat on, to just fucking, I mean, just wearing out parking lots. It just, panhandling suddenly becomes the job. And so I just go downstairs and I'm hitting every single person I see. I would just literally stand like leaned up against the wall right outside the door of the Tiger Mart, and people would be coming and going, and I would ask them in and out. Just ask, hey man, do you have a dollar I can eat on? Anything, change, anything will help, you know? And people will give it to you. And so before long, you've got $5, you've got $10. And now instead of eating, you know, a fucking 99-cent fucking package of 6 donuts, you're walking across the street to Wendy's and you're getting a full meal. And so this is what I continue to do for this period of time. Was I learned how to panhandle. You start to read people. You start to figure out like the high likely targets, the targets that are likely to tell you go fuck yourself, the ones that are gonna just, you know, everybody's different. That's the thing. You start seeing these personality types. I'm sure in my audience, you know, like, which type are you? You know, like if you pull up to a red light and there's a guy standing on the corner holding the sign, you know, do you give him money? Do you not give him money but feel bad because you didn't? Do you tell yourself some story about to make it easier for why you don't give? Do you tell yourself a story for why you give? Are you the kind of person that the second you see the guy holding the sign, you like look away? You know, you start fucking with your radio, pretending like you didn't see him, or you don't want to look in their direction? Or are you the kind of person who makes eye contact with them because you have this like ego, like this fucking homeless guy on the street's not gonna make me feel awkward. I'm not gonna look away. I'm not gonna be ashamed because I didn't give this guy money. When I was living on the street, I had myself convinced that if I ever got back flush in life, I said this literally to multiple people, that if anyone ever walked up to me and said the words, do you have a dollar I can eat on, that I would give them money, because I knew the cost of it. I knew what saying that cost that person, and if they were willing to pay that cost, or if they had come so low in life that they would pay that cost, then my dollar didn't mean that much. Of course, I couldn't know at this time that life was getting ready to change remarkably, and in short order, nobody would be carrying cash anymore. I don't know how people who are homeless get by now. Would you put like your Cash App on your fucking street sign? Like, I don't know. I've actually been talking to my wife since we've been reliving these stories. You may see a video coming up on my channel. I'm thinking about going back to the street, just kind of like to relive the experience. I've been thinking about, just as a gag, having my wife stand on like near a corner with my camera, and I'm gonna stand like on the corner, like where the homeless guys stand, with my shirt off, like all jacked and ripped, holding a sign that just says "We'll work for steroids," just to see what'll happen. It'll be fucked up if I actually do that and end up getting people to give me more money for the entertainment value of me standing out there all jacked with this sign than I was able to make, walking parking lots. And so, I was outside the Albertsons, the Tiger Marts. Like if I decided that I wanted to eat Wendy's or Whataburger, what I would do is I would go stand outside of the door at for example, I would be standing outside working. I called it working the door at the Taco Bell, because the thing is, you find out pretty quickly that your odds of success increase based on location. So if you go stand in front of the entry exit door to a fast food restaurant and you're saying, hey man, will you give me money to eat on? And assuming that you're actually hungry, that you're not trying to feed a drug addiction, because this is the thing. This is the fear that most people have. Most people in America seem willing, like if they knew for sure this person was really gonna take the money and buy food, I think a lot of people are willing to come off $1, right? Like $1, And so what will happen is that people don't want to give you money, but they do want to help you eat. They actually care enough that they don't want to see you starve. And so if you're standing outside, for example, at Taco Bell, a person might say, no, I won't give you money, but I'll buy you something. And so when you're actually hungry, when you're not working an angle, you're actually just trying to survive, that's the far better thing to do. So sometimes, like I would be standing outside of, say, Taco Bell, and somebody would be like, no, I'm not giving you any money. And they would kind of be a dickhead to me. And then like 5 minutes later or whatever, they would come out of the restaurant and you could tell that they'd been in there feeling bad about that shit. And they'd come out with something and offer. And I remember the first time it happened, I'll never forget, because I'm a picky ass fucking eater, like super fucking picky. Like if I go to Taco Bell, I'm basically only eating tacos. I don't eat burritos. There's a lot of things I don't eat. And so I'm sitting outside in the cold. This is like early, I know this time scale actually. This is like early to mid November. And I'll get to why I know this eventually. But so I'm sitting outside and it's not like freezing. It's November in Texas. It's a little chilly. And I asked this dude, like, hey man, like, do you got any money I can eat on? And he's kind of like, no. And he goes to the restaurant and he comes back out. And when he comes back out, he's got food in his hand. He goes, here, you want this? And I'm just being honest. My stupid starving ass goes, what is it? And the dude looks at me like, are you fucking serious? Like, really? You're gonna ask me what it is? And when he made the face at me like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. I just, out of the kindness of my heart, bought you food, you homeless shit, and you have the nerve to ask me what it is? And so before he could even answer, I just said, yeah, I'll take it. And I don't remember what it was. I didn't love it, but I fucking ate it. And that's the other thing you really start to find out when you're homeless and when you're hungry, is that hunger is the best seasoning in the world. You find out real quickly, the more hungry you get, the more shit you'll eat, literally. And that's like the more shit you'll take off of people, the more shit you'll be willing to do, the more food that you don't really technically like that you will eat, because hunger pain is no fucking joke. And a lot of people think they've experienced hunger pains. Like a lot of people who are massively overweight, and they'll be like, oh, I'm starving. I'm like, no, like technically you are, right? Like if you're in a calorie deficit, then your body is eating off its own fat. Trust me when I tell you that when you have like zero fucking body fat percentage, very, very low body fat percentage, and you're in a calorie deficit, it feels way worse. I promise you. I've cut. I know what it's like to cut fat off the body, and I know what it feels like to be actually fucking starving. It's very, very different experience. And so I was like, yeah, dude, just give me whatever. And so I took it. And so that was one of the best ways to get fed, was to make sure that you just positioned yourself where food was, because a lot of times people don't want to give you money. They don't trust you. They think that you're an addict and that you're gonna, that you're gonna run off and buy rocks with it. And so they will either give you money so that you can go into the restaurant, or they will come out and leave something with you, or sometimes they would be like, no, I'm not going to fucking give you money, but I'll buy you something. Like, what do you want? And I'd be like, 50 tacos. No, I'm joking. I would just be like, man, I just want some tacos. Like, however many you'll get me, just some tacos. And so somebody come out with 3 or 5 tacos, and then boom. I take my tacos, I go back to my fucking budget suite, I sit there and watch TV, because you get free cable. So anytime I got hungry, or anytime I needed something, that's what I did. I started basically panhandling to survive. And so when, but the problem is that I'm only making enough money to survive. So like, I can't remember what it cost. I want to say it was like $400 a month or something at this place. I can't, the rent was not a lot. I mean, it's a budget suite. Like, it's like an extended stay hotel room. It had to be somewhere in the range of like $400, because it was cheaper than a cheap apartment. And so the problem is that I'm only actually panhandling when I'm hungry. I'm not actually panhandling as a job, so I'm not making money. I'm just surviving. That's all I'm doing. Every time I'm hungry, I'm out there walking a fucking beat, and so I've got food, I've got cigarettes, I've probably got some Dr. Thunder or something maybe in the fridge, got a couple items in the fridge maybe, but other than that, I'm barely able to get enough money to get me by. And so one morning, I wake up, and I can't remember again the timeline. This is not really going to matter. But I wake up one morning, and I go out to Panhandle, and the streets are really empty. And I'm like, it's fucking weird. And so, there's people at the gas station, and I actually did pretty decent. That was the weird thing, is that, like, I got like $5 or $6 off some very kind people who were getting gas in relatively short order. And I go across I walk across the bridge to the fast food restaurants, and it's like, why is fucking Taco Bell closed? So it's weird, I don't know. So I go next door, and fucking Whataburger's closed too. What the fuck is going on today? So I walk back to my budget suite, and I'm sitting in my suite trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. And my phone rings. And I'm like, the fuck? And so I get excited, like, is it Steve? Like, what the fuck? And so I've got a cell phone, I think, still at the time. I can't even remember. But it's like the corded phone in the budget suite. I pick it up, and I'm like, hello? And this girl's voice comes on the line, and she says, Michael? And I said, yeah. And she goes, this is Sarah. I'm like, Sarah? I have a cousin named Sarah. She's like, yeah, this is your cousin Sarah. Where are you? And I'm like, what are you doing? She was, Michael, it's Thanksgiving. I want to come. We're all over at Mama and Papa's house, and I want you to be here. I want you to come. I want to come pick you up so that you can come to Thanksgiving. I had no idea, man. I didn't even know what day it was. Why my dad didn't call me, I don't know. I mean, I guess I do know. He was ashamed. He was embarrassed. And so my whole family had gotten over to my grandparents' house, and my cousin starts asking, like, where's Michael? And she finds out that no one had invited me, and she wasn't going to stand for it. And so she drove her car, she came and picked me up and took me to eat this big Thanksgiving dinner with my whole family. And you can imagine how awkward that was, because she was the only one in the whole fucking family that thought of me or cared enough to make sure that I was there and didn't spend Thanksgiving alone and didn't miss out on that holiday. So that was to say the least a really pivotal moment for me, because up until then, holidays were like my fucking favorite time of the year, man. Like, I grew up in a really big family, had lots of cousins and aunts and uncles, and my grandparents were like the center, you know, they were the matriarch and the patriarch of the family. And so holidays were just the fucking best, because we all got together at my mom and papa's house, and we had, you know, big feasts, and they played cards, and all of us kids used to my grandparents had a house kind of like ours, about the size of ours now. It's a big house, and they had this long hall with these 3 bedrooms off of this main hall. And I can remember as a kid, my cousins and I, we would build haunted houses. So all the adults would be playing cards and stuff, and we would spend all this time creating a haunted house for them to walk through. We'd be staged all in the, you know, in the different places. We'd have a little path set out. My grandmother used to love to go to Mardi Gras, and she had this chest full of Mardi Gras beads and all these costume hats and boas and stuff, and we'd create costumes. And it was just like holidays had always been the best. And then as I had gotten older, like when you turn 13, then they would allow you to sit at the card table. And so you had this big long table, and all the adults are gambling. They used to just play this 3-card like game called Gut. And they gambled with pennies, because you gotta have something, but they weren't like gambling addicts. So everybody had a coffee can full of pennies, and so you could sit there and you could gamble all night and drink and have a good time, and it didn't cost anybody any real money, but you could put something down on the table. And so when you turned 13, they would let you sit at the table. And so, you know, I had grown up around all my cousins and family members at these massive holiday parties, and as I got older, I became the life of the party, you know. Like, I had this crazy personality, and I was always telling jokes and stories, and, you know, everybody thought I was crazy. And I look forward to holidays more than anything in the world. It was one of the greatest times of my life growing up, around all of these people that I loved and cared about. And then Thanksgiving came, and none of them cared. Sarah was the only one that made any effort to include me in that event. And I'm not trying to sit here and sound like I'm the victim of some crime, really. But let's be honest. Like, what fucking crime? What crime did I commit? You know? Like, I got addicted to drugs. I didn't intend to. It happened. Should I have been stronger? Probably. Should I have been able to pull myself out? Maybe. You know, I had tried multiple drugs in my life, and none of them had ever gotten me. I don't know why speed got me the way I did. I don't know why it captivated my heart and soul and mind. I don't know why any of it happened. I didn't go looking for trouble. I wasn't hurting anybody. I wasn't violent. I'd never been in trouble with the law. My sin that I committed that had my entire family turn their backs on me was that I got addicted to a drug, and I didn't fucking lie about it. All of the other fucking cousins and my brother and everybody else was doing drugs too, but they just lied about it. Just like this YouTube channel. It never occurred to me to lie to anyone about who I was. And so because I was honest and said, yeah, I get high, they just completely were ashamed of me, and they turned their fucking backs on me. And I have fucking hated holidays ever since that day. One of the things that I loved the most in my life was holidays with my family, and that fucking experience showed me nobody is really in your fucking corner. People only care about you and love you and support you as long as you act and live according to their rules and standards. And if you decide at any point in life to be true to yourself, or to just not be ashamed of who you are, other people can't handle it, and they will just cut you out of their lives. They are fake as the day is long. And I realized that it's not just friends, it's your fucking blood too. Your blood will turn their fucking backs on you. And all of a sudden I realized all of this time and energy I'm spending investing in these fucking people is a waste of my time and energy. Because when I really needed people the most, there was only a couple of people who were really willing to fucking stand beside me. And I have despised society and fucking holidays and get-togethers and friends and people ever fucking since. Because the reality is the only way you can really have relationships with people is to be fucking fake. It's happening right now in real time with this YouTube channel and my inability to get hired to a job. People judge you based on what you project outwardly. And they would rather you tell them a lie about who you are than to accept you, than for you to tell the truth. If the truth is not marketable, if the truth is not palatable to them, they would rather live a fucking lie. And it is the reason that I have sworn off basically all relationships in my life and why I absolutely despise holidays. I do not celebrate them at all, period. Other than to like kind of, try not to fuck my kids out of their upbringing. So we do Christmas and we do the stuff. But as far as I'm concerned, I like every single one of these holidays that I go to, I am totally fucking disconnected. I do not engage in gift giving. I have told my family 1,000 times, do not get me anything ever. I will not fucking pay it back. I do not want it. I will not participate in your fucking societal games ever fucking again. So, my camera battery's about to die. As always, thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.